Hey everybody, it's Chris and welcome back to Something Else Amiga. Today we have another repair. This is from Mr. Lou, his Amiga 2000. Inside we have a note, which is wonderful, and a bag, making sure there's nothing else in it. Okay, it says, "Hi Chris, this motherboard is not responding when powered up. A leaky battery did its thing. Seems to be confirmed right around the battery, CPU, RAM sockets. There's a couple other components nearby that got some green that might need to be replaced. Saw some capacitor leaks as well. I ordered some batteries and holders so I can replace that if you don't have any. Mr. Lou, California." A lot of my stuff's coming from the old California lately. So we have a pretty good packing job. Use the original foam from a monitor to hold the motherboard. Good idea. Let me put on the old prison bracelet. Okay. Oh, it's a Rev 4. So, first thing is to get a power supply on it. And ATX power supply. Vidia is bent. Also, this one is grounded out. When you get these little tantalum capacitors everywhere, these little blue guys, and you bend them over to where their metal leg touches another contact point, that can cause issues too. Resistor packs have been smashed over, another tantalum bent over right on the daggone metal. We're going to check that. This has been recapped because this has been recapped. These are not leaky caps because by default they're showies. And these are Medels. So a Chinese capacitor. J301 is jumpered, as is 200 with new jumpers. And 105. What the heck? Jumpers are crunchy. I don't know how many watts we're going to need, but I know how many watts we're going to use. Now I bought myself a really long cable from Amiga Kit because the idea was it was going to be in my tower, but I'm just using it on stuff now. As always, Amiga Kit's A2000 ATX to Amiga, like sorta AT style power connector. Regular old PC power supplies off the shelf are a dime a dozen now. When you have one of these, no problem. I'll put a link in the description below. So J300, since I'm using an external power supply, I'm going to move the tick to basically with VSync or external. Then we can check voltages on fuses. I don't need to check voltages on power supplies or anything like that. Let's hit it. Power's on. Energizing. Fan spin. Not a nothing. Which is fine. While that's going, oh, we did get a beep. Got a VSync. Alright, that's still good. Ferrite beat is good. A quick and dirty. I know this is not going to work, which is totally fine. We're going to extract the ROM here with the Genard. It is a Kickstart 1.3. We're going to grab Diagram from Mr. John Hertel himself. Clicking. Now, Diagram bypasses most of the custom chips to allow you to see something if it works. Now this CPU looks like the Titanic borrowed it, kept it under the ocean for 100 years, and, you know, that old chestnut. The battery damage doesn't look too bad around the battery area. However, as you can see, Diagram is not working, and we have a black screen. So the unit is now off. Now the number one cause for a black screen is what? Does anybody know? That's right, no CPU. I'm going to remove the CPU also. Now, I am going to use a flat blade screwdriver, but I am not going to go in like this and lift this. If you want to do this, give it the old twist action. And then go back in from the back side, making sure you're under the chip, and repeat the process. This will take 2 or 3 lifts and she'll come right out. Now, CPU, oh. So we have green all the way back to here, all the way back to here. I'm not even messing with this socket. She's coming out. We're going to use some clippers, and we are going to cut the ribs out of the center of the pins. Okay, just going to take the ribs right out. That way I can look for the ROM lines to make sure none are busted and nobody went in there with a screwdriver. You can see that somebody went in with a battery sucky tool and did a massive blob on the ground, which is fine. A couple pieces have been replaced. We have a wire mod here for the video slot. I have a massive scratch across the Agnes. A couple new Pico fuses have been added. A 157N mouse controller chip. Kind of talks to Denise and Paula, Denise and Paula for I/O control and some CIA action. So that's what helps your mouse move and click if it's not one of the fuses. Now the Rev 6 had a Pico fuse here. These are back here. So they're in a little different spot and they're only for the external floppy and serial. The mouse, you'll always blow this 157N because there's no fuses for when you ground out your mouse. It's 10:09 a.m. Sockets came out very good. As you can see, I snipped them and you can see the crust in there. This one, not so bad because it's on the side that doesn't matter. ROM side, you can see a little bit of crap on the end near my crappy fingers that are always beat up. Why are your fingers always a mess? Because I burn myself, cut myself, use chemicals, bite my fingernails, always poking myself. So I look like death warmed over, and I apologize for my crusty dill pickles. But what do we have here? We have a CPU socket that is green. We have still acid on the board down here. Now I'm going to zoom in here. My camera is at least not squeaking. So here you can see, although the battery itself here was removed, and it looks like a good job. The damage was done. She leaked all the way up through the ROM over here. All the way up through the ROM over here. There's acid. There's a couple little questionable lines in the middle here that I'm going to have to go over. You can see these marks. They're around the spot where you would stick a screwdriver in and lift. So, going to be taking a look at that. You can see there's a lot of dust on the board. For an acid leak, dust actually can be your friend because it will absorb a lot of the crap. Now, this here, this chunky called Medina that's flaking off, that could be a couple busted lines. So what we're going to do is I'm going to alcohol that. I'm just going to clean this up and we're going to see the green come off of this thing. And yep, we'll have to do some tracing, but it looks like we have some busted vias going to the resistor pack, which is really no big deal. And you can see it's just, edible right there. And go to this side here. Give her a wipe. Now I haven't debraded this yet because I was worried about that. And it looks like that was just some crap. Good. Get all that acid out of there and out of the holes. Also I'm going to dig out the battery negative, the VCC 5-volt rail here, and this ground plane piece because this is puffy and it may be cut. If it's all the way across and crapped out. So the only way really to do that is with a fiberglass pen here. I'm going to take and I'm going to scratch on this. And I need to get underneath of it. And I apologize that I'll do this on an angle because I'm left-handed holding this pizza. And this is going to create fiberglass dust. But it is also going to kind of like lightly sand the area. And we want to get underneath of that crap to make sure the acid has not eaten it. Now here you go, you can see that this has been fiberglass penned and just some residual scuzz. Take another IPA wipe and clean that up. And you can see that it looks a hell of a lot better. The acid isn't gone through. And a simple continuity check. Alright, so I just spent the better part of a couple minutes scrubbing out these holes, and good God, look at this thing. This is crusty city. So good thing we pulled that apart, removed that socket, scrub it with a toothbrush, whatever you got. Even if you got to just kind of go dump, it's okay. Give her a, you know, radiation bath, pretty much. You're just scrubbing down anything, and then you'll come back and wipe it. I get my toothbrushes from the dollar store. And fiberglass pen work on some of these points here that are questionable. And then I'm going to have to remask a couple things. So I have one bust on a ROM line. I'm going to have to drag solder. Sockets are now cleaned up. I'm going to put a new ROM socket in and a new CPU socket in. One left right here. SIL turn pin. Last socket. I got 5 68,000s, but one socket left. Oh, I need ROM sockets. 3 of those left. That's great. Time to order some more parts. This crap's expensive. ROM sockets in. We're going to take our alcohol, give her a spritz, and wipe the flux off. So CPU socket, these are SIL turn pin. So these don't have a mark on them. So what I do is just pick a side, any side, and I will kind of just make a notch in one of the things. You know, burn one in there, and then pick it off. That way you know, hey, this is the notch. There we go. So now we have a notch. New socket, new ROM socket. Didn't overheat anything, didn't push any pins out. And I did the notch on the 68,000 side because it just covers it. Back side, all good. ROM side. Where's our ROM? Right here. CPU right here. Gotta clean this flux up a little bit. Hey, it's like 6:30 p.m. Did I work on this all day? Nope, did not. Had other crap to do. Came back to it after the socket and the doohickey. Notice the Agnes is literally cracked in half. So I'm going to have to freaking replace that socket. That's fun. Yep. I'm going to get the PLCC extractor tool right here. And we're going to remove this Agnes. And somebody went in here with a freaking screwdriver and popped that bad boy out, busting the socket in half. Therefore, it's not making contact at all because she split like you wouldn't believe. So both sides, look at this. That's yep, that's good. This side cracked? Nope. Oh, but it's very brittle. So yeah, that's not happening. And there's no way that I'm able to trace pins because I have to go ROM 1 here to like Agnes 3. Hey, we have continuity, but we have no way of gripping the chip because it's all freaking screwed up. That's great. It's dry rotted. Look at this. I can just touch it and it just falls apart in my hand. Now I did test it. I don't know if I showed it. It didn't work. It showed some red lines, and that's probably because the Agnes socket is toast. So with the Agnes socket all wonderful and just in prime shape, gonna go ahead and pull that out too. And then while it's out, I'm gonna do some ROM, CPU, Agnes continuity testing. I got the Sprint layout viewer. Final day of seeing this freaking monitor because I ordered an additional Dell U2410F. They've been coming out really good. This thing needs to be cleaned. Certainly balls everywhere. Alright, well that SOB freaking fought me tooth and nail. You can see socket came out nice and clean, no pads or anything lifted or lost. Old solder fights you like you wouldn't believe. Here's our new socket in tan. There's a notch on here that goes towards the arrow. So there's a dip on the pin. There's also a notch and with the arrow right there that you put towards the socket head, pin 1. There's our nice new Agnes socket. We have a new CPU socket, a new ROM socket, and a new Agnes socket. But before I do that, I'm going to do the pin out. But first, before all that, I'm hungry. I'm going to go eat some pizza. It's 8:32. I polished off 2 pieces of thin barbecue chicken pizza. Pretty good. I don't know what the name of it was. I pinned out the entire ROM, and everything's checking out fine except for when I got down to the 4th pin here off the bottom right. It is supposed to go to pin 1 here of the CPU. Now, I don't have the best continuity in that area. And it goes to this resistor pack, pin 1 here. I've cleaned this area off, and supposedly, if I touch here to here, what the? I get nothing. You try and touch some solder on it. If not, I have to do one simple wire. It's literally like concrete. So, I was gifted these super tiny hand drill bit tool things. But it has these super micro, I think these are hand drills, but it has these really tiny bits in here, of which I'm going to try these hand things first. Holy crap, they are tiny. Can you even see how tiny they are? Yeah, I'm going to be extremely careful with this. So I'm going to take the fattest one they have right here. This is gone, but this little drill bit allows me to just get that concrete out of there. Oh man, this is awesome. Awesome. I'm using flux as a lube. Boom. And I'm through. Man, that just saved the freaking bacon. Didn't damage it or nothing. Hose this area down, and that, look at the crap coming out of it. Oh, wonderful. And I saved the via, well, most of it. That's cool. So, I'm just going to run a wire, because I can stick it in that hole. But I'm actually going to run it from the resistor pack to the first pin over here. What I got? If you hear elephants upstairs, my daughter has come downstairs to torment the dog. So I have this crazy wire in place, triple posted through the these things. Awesome. They came in perfectly handy. Awesome. Thank you so much for that help on that tool. Alright, let's try this cookie one more time. And then I can solder the Agnes socket back on. So, according to sprint layout, 1, 2, 3, 4, excuse me, to pin 1. Yay! Right here, 4 pins up, goes across, down. This is where I was busted. That hole to here, here to this pin. From here on over, fine. From here to here, acid damage. Remember, this was the worst of it all through here. So I wired from pin 1 to the resistor pack to that via, and then over and up. So, what does that mean? That means that all this crap should now work. So I have continuity across. I'm going to quickly remove what's left of the battery hole. Just like that. It is 9:03. My phone's still going off. Our Agnes socket has been soldered in, and we're all good. Arrow towards pin 1. Now, I need a moment to cool off this 391 degree Fahrenheit soldering station. I put it back to Fahrenheit because this is America, where Jesus lives, and we run in Fahrenheit. So let me clean up the hoard, and we'll get set up for another test. First, let's all listen together as I snap this Agnes in, not in half. Let's see if we get a good snap this time. Oh yeah. Hey, I got it working with the Commodore adapter, but guess what color that is? And what does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? Any guesses, anybody? Anybody have a guess what the red color means? I'll give you a hint. Look at that, nice clean picture. Alright, so this will help me out because I'll be able to tell if I don't have a mouse. Alright, so I have no mouse movement left and right. Look at that. I only have up and down. But the most important part is memory. And I have no fracking keyboard. F1. So, what does that tell me? LS157N is probably toast. Alright, we have 1 mega chip. We're going to test all RAM. These ports are just jacked up, that's all. Let this go. So, we got working machine. I'm going to take a picture for the owner. Wow. Mr. Bill, you deleted your pledge after paying $10 for your repair. That was just not nice. Alright. So I would consider that tested. I let that sucker go to 5. Alright, so RGB looks good. Yep, mouse is working. It works. Rev 4, Mega 2000. Playing Dread. Cool. I love this game, by the way. Now we got a new ROM socket, new CPU socket, new Agnes socket, looby-doobied and cleaned all the other sockets with Deoxit D5. This stuff is $16.79 pre-pandemic a can. Now it's probably half that for double. I'm going to do another shot of Deoxit down the old slot covers. We're going to use the bronze brush, of course with the machine off, and that will clean out any schmutz. There's a couple little so I just give them a quick light and then a single direction. Because believe it or not, if you don't use these things, they do get crusty and dry out. So, I don't know, anybody uses ISA slots except for the bridge boards. But it keeps the corrosion off of them. Deoxit's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And now all our slots have been lubed and cleaned. There was a couple crusties on them, knocked them right off. I'm going to give the board a actual cleaning itself, just to, you know, clean it up. And that will take a little while because I meticulously go through it. And there's my alarm going off. Energize. DeVoom should come on. And we should get a kickstart screen as soon as the monitor catches up. So there we go. We got a bad ROM socket, cracked Agnes socket, crusty CPU. I have a little bit of cover up to do with the Extreme Wear Sally Houston fingernail paint. So here we go. We're going to boot Techno Jams off a possibly dirty floppy. I think it's a OCS demo. I think, yes. It's got like Pong and stuff. That whining you're hearing is this. When it's charging, it whines. I don't know. So, as you can see, another Amiga has been saved from the dump, or wherever. Trash attics. I'd like to see this one being used again. Rev 4.2, she's an old one, but she still works totally fine. I have to test the Zorro slots. I forgot. Let me turn this off. This is my pre-production pilot version of Kickstart 3.1. Way back in the day, before Commodore never ever really finished it. So this is 94, this ROM is. And as you know, we know what happened in 94. I always test the Zorro card. There's 6 245s here in between the CPU slot and the first Zorro. That they're like your buffers for the, yep, that, which one's bad? Good thing I wrote bad because I got these ROMs all mixed up already. Okay, so we're going to go boot and we're going to go double mouse button. This is with my 3.1 ROM. And now we can do expansion board diagnostics, and Zorro is working. That is a good thing. It just shows that it's my GVP 2092. It's a GVP multi-phase, no, BSC multi-phase 3. There we go. 3.1 ROM, back in the day, best ROM to have. So with that, I'm going to remove this ROM one more time, Gennard, and put the replacement Kickstart 1.3 back in. Boots right up. Take my Zorro card out. And another Amiga has been saved. So thank you guys for coming along on this journey. Mr. Lewis, I hope you enjoy your repaired and updated Revision 4.2 Amiga 2000. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, hope you learned something.